What is up, guys? You got Not the Worst here, bringing you the enhancement guide video for boss gear. This is a highly recommended sub request that I've had for a long time, and decided to finally put it together. I know there are other guides out there. Some of them are dated, some of them do it a little bit different. So this is my take on how I do enhancement. And that's pretty much it. This is kind of a beginner's guide type thing, and this is specifically for boss gear. If you're trying to enhance some green gear like Runnel or Heave or whatever other stuff, the fail stack numbers are going to be different for that you want to use than what we're going to talk about here. Enhancing those items is typically a bit easier, actually quite a bit easier than a lot of the boss gear, so we're only talking about that. And in this video we are also not covering accessory enhancement. That's going to be a separate video for another time for doing that. Something else I want to point out, this method or these methods or these things and fail stacks that I use, this isn't the end all be all. This is just how I do it. If you've caught any of my enhancing live streams that we do, these are the methods that I use when I enhance, and I've had very good results over time using these methods. I'm not saying they're definitively the best, and if you have a better way than these, then drop a like on this video and hit subscribe. Then let me know what your better way is, and then we'll catch you later, because you don't need this video. But this is going to work for you as long as you're persistent with it. And again, I'm not saying this is the best method on the planet, but it's not the worst. So anyways, there's that. Second thing I want to point out, I initially was going to do this video I just have a backup dandelion for my DK in my warehouse that we've been pushing to pen on the live streams. I was going to just do it with this and kind of explain enhancing prior to getting to pry, but then I kind of thought about it and I was like, you know what, let's make this an all-encompassing, you know, start to finish thing. So I picked up a Zarka for my lawn since I wanted to get one anyways. I was going to buy one around pry and just enhance it to tap myself, but I figured, you know what, let's get a base one, let's do a video starting from scratch and explain it top to bottom. So yeah, I got that ready. We're going to enhance that thing and get this going. Second thing I want to mention is backup items for enhancing. This really only applies once you're at maybe the try, definitely the tet level, and it's not necessarily required. But the way I like to enhance, and this doesn't really apply to armor, when I was doing each of my weapon pieces, as you saw, I have a backup dandelion. I made sure I had backups of each of these, and my reasoning for that is enhancing, especially when you're at try going for tet and tet going for pen. Although you can see I don't have any pens yet. When you're at that point, it can get very costly, especially if you're super unlucky. My dandelion took 45 tet attempts to actually hit tet, whereas my Kudum took 1 attempt to hit tet. So there's that. But I prefer to have backup items just because it's going to affect my grind speed, which is going to affect my money per hour, right? Like if I have a try dandy and I'm going for tet and I blow it up and it goes to duo and I blow it up again and it goes to pry and I didn't save up enough resources to do a full session and I'm done and I just have pry, or I'm frustrated and I don't want to do it, the money per hour I'm going to make because I now have a pry dandy instead of a try dandy is actually fairly significant, and it may even affect what areas I can grind for money. So there's that. If you life skill for money, that obviously isn't as pertinent to you, and you probably don't. And that's not necessarily a rule. It's not like you have to have a backup. I just strongly recommend it. I think it's a great idea to have a backup item for weapons before you do that kind of thing. Armor's not going to be quite as important. Obviously, like accuracy can be important on your Beg's gloves, but it's not super important that if you lose the DP after enhancing, that it's going to, you know, critically cripple your overall grind speed. It probably won't have any effect at all, to be honest, other than maybe a little bit of accuracy depending on the situation. So just wanted to point that out for well. Also, something else to keep in mind, we are going to attempt for pet on this no, we're gonna have some pets, but we're gonna attempt for tet on this Zarka. We're gonna give it 1 tet attempt. We're gonna get it for try in this video. I'll give it 1 tet attempt and then we'll save it for the live stream outside of that. But if this is your first set of boss gear or your first weapon, maybe you just got your Zarka weapon and it's your first piece or whatever, I strongly recommend having stopping points, getting it up to duo, and then maybe focusing on getting another piece of boss gear before you do that. You could possibly get it to try. Personally, I did get each of my items to try before I moved on to focusing on another item, but that was you know, my own discretion. Do it whatever you think's best. If I had to redo it, I would get each of my items to duo, and then I would push each item to try, which I did do. And then once I had each item at try, I've slowly pushed each piece to tet, and we're obviously working on accessories next before and simultaneously going for pen dandy. So that's the way I like to do it. Again, not a requirement, just my personal recommendation, especially if you are a new player. So with that said, get your tinfoil hats on and let's jump into some things that you're going to need in order to enhance. Now, I'm a little bit low on what I would recommend in items to have for this, and that's strictly because we're coming off of a weekend of live streaming enhancing that we did. But I strongly recommend you have 500 to 1,000 each of your blackstones, depending on how many items you're enhancing, how long you enhance, something like that. You could probably get away with 500, provided that you already have your Reblath or Militia armor enhanced as well. And then, of course, depending on what you're doing, are you doing an armor piece? Or are you doing a weapon piece? Oh, I'm gonna have to buy sharps in the middle of this video. We'll edit, and I'll buy some because I did not prep for that. Make sure you have plenty of sharps and hards, depending on if it's an armor piece or a weapon piece. You are absolutely gonna blow through these much quicker than you think. And of course, memory fragments, you wanna have a good number of those on hand, probably more than I have here in this video, but we'll do some pay to win artisan memories just for the sake of the video to make sure that we can keep it going. Again, I'm coming off the back of an enhancement. Valk's Cry are also something you want to have if you are going to use them. We won't be using them in this video, and if you don't know what it does, it basically increases what your fail stack number is by 1, up to a total of 10 per use, or per total use. You can have 10 stacks increase. So if you have a 20 stack that you want to be a 30, you really shouldn't use it on that. But just for an example, if you have a 20 stack, you want a 30, you could dump 10 Valk's Cry into it, and boom, your 20 stack became a 30 stack, just like magic. The other thing you want to have is multiple characters, okay? Fill up however many slots that you have with characters, and just play them enough to unlock the black spirit quest, so that you can build up fail stacks, so you can actually begin to enhance. Once you become to the main storyline quest, it takes like 10 minutes to get there. Do that on each character. The reason for that is so that you can see this number. I have different 107, 105, 90, 52, 81, 95, 0, 0, 34, and a 0. That's so that they have their own individual fail stacks. It's not shared across each character. So if you hit a certain stopping point, like we're working on a try, we have a decent try stack on the 34, and we push it to like 50, we don't want to use it, we switch that, we'll build a new stack on a different character and swap over without having to use some money. If you don't have enough characters, or let's say your characters, you got really unlucky and you haven't hit anything yet, and all your characters have fail stacks, you can go to the blacksmith, purchase these bad boys right here, and they do exactly what they say they do. They'll extract whatever your fail stack amount is into an item called Advice of Valks, which can then be used on another character that has 0 fail stacks to restore those. So if I had, for instance, we had that character that had 34 fail stacks on it. If for some reason, that's not a stack I would extract, but for some reason I wanted to, I could get the Black Spirit Book 40, it would extract it and give me an item called Advice of Valks for 34, and then I could then use that item on any character at a later time that has 0 fail stacks on it. Something else that's going to be really important, and you saw my swords in the inventory, another character has the armor, but these Reblath gear here, you're going to want maybe 7 or 8 of these that you're going to want to enhance up to 14. And to do that, you can pretty much just mash some stones overall into it. That does get a little bit costly, to be honest with you. And then the other ones you saw in my inventory just now, we're going to use the Reblath armor in just a little bit. They're on a character already ready. The militia weapons are over here as well. The only difference between the two is you get to use weapon stones on these versus using your armor stones on the Reblath gear. This is how we're going to build the fail stacks themselves, just to get them going so that we're not blowing up wasted black stones on our boss gear, which will make us have to use more memory fragments, which can get very, very, very costly. The other thing we're going to be purchasing is belts, these mysterious belts. You can use another item, I just always seem to stick with the belts, to build your initial 2, maybe 3 fail stacks. And I'll show you that once we jump into that, what I mean when we get over to a character to build up a duo stack. From there, but these become really important because you're going to save yourself blackstones. You'll see that in just a minute with that, how those things kind of work. From there, the other thing, one thing before we start enhancing here and kind of showing you what we do, I want to emphasize, I really strongly recommend doing it in one session. I wouldn't say, especially when you're new and it's a little difficult to make, a few million gold at a time, I wouldn't say wait till you have like, 50 million gold or something. Like, oh, let me try and, that Zarka weapon I've been working on that's at +12, let me try and work on that right now. Like, I strongly recommend stockpile for a week, grind for a week, life skill for a week, whatever it is you want to do. Get your money together, work on it for like a full week so that you're ready, and then have an enhancing day where you just sit and maybe 2-3 hours or however long it takes you just sit down, commit to it, and go for it. It's going to keep your brain a little fresher, keep you from getting frustrated, try and keep you away from doing things like rouletting, which I think is a terrible idea. So yeah, that's just my last pointer before we jump into the enhancing. So with that, we're going to jump to the next scene here. I'm going to get over to a character to start building with 0 fail stacks. We're going to be using Reblath and Militia. to do that, since I have a split number of weapon and armor stones. In theory, you could be selling all of your weapon stones and purchasing armor stones for this, as the weapon stones sell for a little bit more than the armor stones. But in practice, you're going to find that it's not always practical to be able to purchase those stones at any given time. So personally, I just use both weapon and armor. Whatever I have at the time is going to get used, and I'll split it up between the armor and weapon stones, maybe use one up to a certain point and the other to the other one, but you'll see as we go on. So let's jump over to a character with 0 fail stacks, get the Zarka, and get started here. All right, so we are here on my Kuno, who has 0 fail stacks currently on her. You can see I've got, this is going, oh, some of these are 15. We'll cleanse these in a second. So I've got a bunch of 14 weapons and some 14 reblath. You do need to have these. I recommend having both, again, because managing the split between weapon stones and armor stones isn't always within your control, depending on what's going on in the market. And we have opened up a whole bunch of mysterious belts, so we have these laying around as well. Getting these to 14 can be a little bit annoying, and it can be pretty costly, but it's going to pay off in the long run. And I strongly recommend, at a minimum, get yourself at least 3 of each weapon and armor set. Plus 14, get them to 14. When they do go to 15, which is going to happen while you're enhancing, you can head on over to this guy over here in Velia. And you want to stay in Velia as well. You want to keep your ults that you're not using in Velia strictly for enhancing, or at least when you're ready for an enhancing session, move everybody over there. The reason for that is because that's where you can purchase the reblath gear for repair. So let's say you have your plus 14, it gets up to 15, you can talk to this guy right here, and you can cleanse all of your gear for 100k. It'll take it down from plus 15 to plus 14. In the past, you used to have to do this weird goofy thing with negative karma, kill a bunch of horses so that whatever, and then die, and it downgrades it. They eliminated that because it was silly, and now you can just straight up downgrade it back to plus 14 so that you can enhance on it again. Why is reblath and militia important? Because they're really cheap to purchase. The reblath comes from the blacksmith guy we were just standing at, that also gives you your books that you can extract valves from, and the militia from the guy that I showed you a little bit earlier when we were kind of covering the items that you need. So that's why staying in Velia is important if you're going to use this method. Again, there are other methods that exist. A lot of people do Gruntle stuff, and you can do Amity with the guy in Alta Nova to get Gruntle at a cheaper price and things like that. That's not the method we're doing today. We can easily just purchase these reblath gloves to be repaired whenever their durability is low. So for example, boom, a couple of these, because I know they're all max repaired, recover max durability, and we can pump it all the way as we need to, so we can do it as quickly as possible while going. So let's get started to enhancing this thing. If you've never enhanced a boss item before, or any item before maybe, I've got great news for you. Guess what? Watch how easy it is to get to plus 7 right here. I got my tinfoil hat on. It is nice and snug, and let me tell you, it is reflecting the sunlight in an angelic way. And that means we're gonna get so lucky right now. Look at this, crushing enhancement. Okay, so plus 7 on a weapon and plus 5 on armor is guaranteed enhancement. So it will work 100% of the time, and just like that, we increased our Zarka damage a massive amount. Okay, now is where we're going to begin building fail stacks, and I'm going to cover, again, I know I keep emphasizing this is how I build fail stacks, okay? I'm sure you have your method. You can link your YouTube video in the comment section below. We'll all check it out for you, but this is how I do it. So the first thing, this is why I wanted the belts, okay? You can combine them with each other. They cost 60k each for the mysterious belt that you get from the guy, which is much cheaper than smashing armor stones in, and it also saves you armor stones. They go pry pretty often. It's not quite 50% from what I've seen, but it's really close, like maybe 45%. And if they keep going pry like they're doing right now, it's no big deal, because you'll just use them. Once you get a fail stack there, you can slam a pry in here, or if you want to do another base one and then slam a pry, you know, you could if you want to go. I usually do 2, honestly. We'll go 3 here. Boom, we got plus 3. That saved us a bunch of armor stones. The cost that we just used was drastically less than what it would have been to just smash them into the armor stones. So we want to get to plus 8, and what I like to do plus 8 to start with is to get my fail stack number to the number 8. So what we're going to do from here, now that we started off with a plus 3, we're going to jump in our reblath, and we're just going to click this bad boy until we're up to 8 fail stacks. Okay, if it goes to 15, no big deal. All we're going to do is just jump right back in, put our belts back into it, and remember, we can always just go back and cleanse that plus 15 later, so that it's back to 14. We're never going to get rid of that reblath gear. It's staying with us for the rest of our lives. So no big deal. We'll just jump onto another piece, and we're going to click and see if we can get it up to 8, which we should be able to do. No problem. All right, So now we got that to 8. We're going to put our Zarka in here, okay? And we're going to click. We don't want to go ham on this thing because we want to save some of these fail stacks for a little bit later in case we have a little bit tougher time enhancing higher fail stacks. And we also don't want to just go burning through all of our durability on these things because it's only going to be repaired through memory and fragments, which is going to be expensive. So we clicked it at 8 fail stacks and we got the +8. Nice. So from here, we're going to go ahead and build up a fail stack. You guessed it, to number 9. Now with 9, you're going to see for a little while until we get up to 12. 12 is where things get a little trickier, but moving from 8, 9, 10, 11, and then into 12, I pretty much do 8 to 14 fail stacks, 9 to 15, 10 to 16, 11 to 17, okay? From there, you start making what are going to be boss level duo stacks, so it gets a little trickier. But anyhow, let me go ahead and get a +9 fail stack ready for you, and we'll jump on in to see how far we go with the Zarka from there. All right, so we got our +9 fail stack here. We're going for 9 on it. We're going to click it, and what do you know? We get it first click. So next step from here, we need a +10 fail stack, so let's get that ready. All right, so we got our +10 fail stack. Notice I did have to replenish my belt supply here. No big deal. We stay right next to the blacksmith while we're doing this. So if at any time you do run out of enough belts, grab a whole bunch of more mysterious, spam that space bar until you're jumping up in the air because you opened them all, and you can begin stacking. Again, you don't have to do the belt method. I'm just telling you from lots and lots of enhancing, it does save you blackstones in the long run. If you are sitting on a couple thousand, you could definitely skip it. It's just something to save you a little bit of money. But more importantly, it saves you blackstones. There's nothing worse than when I'm doing a live stream, we're running low on blackstones and the market just happens to be completely sold out. It's really frustrating. So I try and save them where I can. It's not so much the cost as it is the availability. So from here, we're on our +10. So far we've just one clicked this thing. At some point we're going to start failing. So from here, we want to go from 10 and we're willing to do this. Okay, it's failing. We're willing to do this up to 16. Okay, and it's at 16. We don't want to push this anymore. So we want to switch over to another character. We're going to save this 16 stack to use for something else later on while we're enhancing. So I'm going to stop this, leave the 16 stack. I'm going to transfer the gear over to another character that has 0 fail stacks right now. And then we'll go ahead and build up a new 10 stack on that character. Okay, so we swapped over to our wizard who had 0 fail stacks on him at the time. We got a 10 stack ready. So again, we're going to do the same thing. We'll just click this until it goes and boom, got a 10. Guess what's next? You're correct. Let's build us up an 11 stack real quick and we can use the same character since we're now back to 0. All right, we got our 11 stack ready to roll here and we're gonna have to repair our reblath gear in just a little bit here or switch over to the militia. So we're gonna push that, boom, we get it on the second click, no problem. So now it's time for 12. What do you think's happening? That's right, double check your tinfoil hat. Make sure it's nice and tinned up before you move on to the next step, which is we're gonna be building a 12 stack. So here we go. All right, 12 stack is popping. It is ready to roll. So we're gonna click on this and this guy's gonna go up until 18, which is actually a stack we could use for boss duo. We happen to get a little sooner than that, which isn't bad. Now, we start to enter where things get a little hairy. This is where you can start to get a little bit frustrated because it starts to get a little more difficult from here. Going to 13 is not as bad, but going from 13 to 14 and 14 to 15 is actually more difficult than hitting duo, which you will undoubtedly see when we start to do that here. This is why I strongly recommend doing this in one large session and just being prepared to have to do things. You might hit a point by now where you need to repair a little bit. You can see we've been chipping away at that durability. So we're gonna need to use some memory frags and not too long here. But yeah, next thing, of course, we're gonna go ahead and need a 13 stack. You could honestly start this at a 12 stack if you wanted to. It's not super important that you go to 13. Either way is really fine from here. It's more about the stopping point being 18 and being kind of disciplined on that because you are absolutely gonna use those 18 stacks, whether it's on this piece or your next piece of boss gear. So let me get the stack ready and we'll start clicking some buttons. All right, we got a nice 12 stack ready here. I went ahead and went with 12 over 13. Again, it's not super important that you stay exactly to the same number. This is just a general rule of thumb and easy to remember to go for the next number that you're shooting for. Again, it's not super important at this stage. So whether we start at a 12 or 13, we're talking fractions of a percentage for success. So we're gonna go ahead and click here, see what happens. We might have we're gonna need to repair it. So that's actually good, so we can do this on stream or on video, same thing. We're gonna go over here, grab our memory fragments real quick, and for the sake of this video, we're gonna use some artisan memories, some pay-to-win memories here. Grab our memory fragments and let's go repair our item. If you've never done this before on a boss weapon, of course, getting boss weapons is difficult in its own right, so you don't want to use other boss weapons to repair it. you're going to use your memory fragments. Okay, so you'll pop those bad boys in here. If you need to continuous, you can. One little trick that I have learned or was taught while on stream, you can in between, let's say you click once here and it goes up one, you can actually repair the items in your inventory, and there's an RNG chance that you can see this notification that just came up behind there. It says max durability increased by 1. It didn't actually do it on the Zarka, it did it on one of these reblasts, but you could actually go through and just do it one by one like that and repair an inventory each time, because you have an RNG chance of this increasing max durability by 1, which is essentially a free memory fragment. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing repaired up. We'll get our, and then we'll get back on our stack, continue clicking, see if we can get the 18, and then just keep on moving. All right, we got repaired up. We are good to go. That is not going to be the last time that we have to do that. I can guarantee you, since we are going to go all the way at least to 1 TET attempt. So we'll continue clicking this, see what happens. Hopefully we get it. If not, we might build ourselves a duo stack. Okay, 18, this is going to be your stopping point. The reason for that, 18 stacks are, first of all, can be built off Reblath pretty easily on their own, but they're also extremely useful for later on once you're trying for Tri and Tet and even Pen, since 18 is really the starting point you want for duo stacks. We'll cover that a little bit later once we get up there. For now, I'm going to move this gear over to another character with 0 fail stacks, and again, build up to probably a 12 stack, and we'll click it up to 18 and see what we get. Okay, we got it ready on a fresh character, so here we go. We're going to click it again, and once again, we're only moving this up to 18. Okay, we got another 18 stack, no problem. We're just going to switch over to another character. They're actually maxed out now, so I'm going to purchase myself a book, extract to make an advice of Valks. It will have 0 on another character, and move it over to that one. We'll build the stack up, and we just run it back. This is what enhancing is all about. All right, we are back at it again, and with a whole lot of persistence and a little bit of luck, we will see if we can get this to plus 13. Okay, plus 13 is now where we have entered the most difficult realm of enhancing that you will experience until you start going for Tri and Tet. The percentages on hitting 13 to 14 and also 14 to 15 are actually lower than your chances of getting duo on a max duo stack. So, or at least that's what the information we are given through Google provides. So this part can get very frustrating, especially if it's your first piece of gear. However, it's actually a good thing for you in some scenarios, because it's going to build you Tri stacks. Okay, so what I consider a Tri stack, a beginning Tri stack, is 30. So I happen to have this great little advice of Valks 18 ready to go. So what you want to do is any of those stacks that you built up that got to 18 while we were enhancing earlier, or not the 16s that we had, but the 18s that we made earlier while we were on any of those previous fail stacks, you want to go ahead and switch back to that character. I had advice of Valks ready because I'm recording a video and wanted to be quick and snappy with it, and start with an 18 stack. Now, this is going to sound a little extreme, but it's actually difficult to do, is to get this thing to go. And we can build 18 stacks off of our Reblath and Militia gear, no problem. We do it all the time on stream. We do it multiple times, plus 18, and even higher. Some cases we do 26s. I've done 30s when we had to. So at any rate, if you don't have any saved up 18s, do the same exact method. Use your belts for the first couple of fail stacks. Grab your Reblath, grab your Militia, whatever, dump some stones in. You might hit a couple plus 15s here and there, but you'll eventually get yourself a nice 18 stack. And once you're on the 18 stack, you're going to get that 13 and cross your fingers, because the percentages are very bad for you. Now, we're only going to take this up to 30 if it gets there, so we want to click it. I'm telling you now, you will get frustrated because this is a difficult enhancement. Do not be tempted to waste past this 30 stack. You leave this stack alone. This is going to be so incredibly useful for you later on, either in this enhancement session or in another enhancement session in the future. I promise you. Believe me, I've been there. My very first boss piece that I ever had, my first weapon that I got, Beg's Gloves was the first boss gear that I got. When I got to plus 13, I got so frustrated with this thing, I clicked it. I made a 52 stack on my plus 13, which is a complete waste. I'd saved the 52 stack for later, and I'm glad that I did, but don't rage out. Do not get disgruntled. This 30 stack is actually, believe it or not, it's a good thing for you. You're going to be able to use it for a nice Tri stack later on, so don't be too disconcerted. Switch to a new character, build yourself an 18 stack, or if you need to extract this Valk, you can do that, or extract a lower one, whatever you want to do. Get in a fresh character, get yourself a fresh 18 stack, and we're just going to click it again. Again, the name of the game here is persistence and luck. So let's get an 18 stack ready, and we'll keep clicking this button. Okay, I actually had it set up with a 20 advice evox, so we're going to go ahead and use that just to save myself a little time. Granted, it saves no time for you because this is edited into pieces where it goes from one scene to the next, but it saves me a little time. So we're going to start with a 20. Same idea here, could start with the 18. The max percentage is actually at 20, so we're actually clicking on max chances at once you hit that 20 number anyhow. And again, we are chipping away at the durability with each click, so this can get a little costly over time with your memory fragments, and this is again why I keep emphasizing make sure you have plenty of resources stacked up. So we're going to just do the same exact thing. Oh, we're out of durability. So let's go repair this thing. Then we're going to keep working with this 23 stack and go to 30. All right, we are repaired up and ready to keep clicking. So we're going to push this guy to 30, see if we get ourselves a sweet, juicy 30 stack to use later on. Yes, we do. So we're going to extract that and continue. I'm going to go ahead and just jump ahead to once we get this to plus 14, and I'll let you guys know how many 30 stacks I build in the process. We'll see what kind of luck I'm getting then, but I don't want to have you guys suffer through all my clicking because I'm sure you're suffering through your own clicking while watching this video, or maybe you're just having a good laugh at these tri-stacks. But I promise these plus 30s are going to be a huge deal later on. And if you don't believe me, check out the links in the description below. Give me a follow on twitch.tv and watch me live stream, and I promise you I will use these 30 stacks multiple times on that live stream during an enhancing session. Also, while we're talking about it, take this time to go ahead and like this video if you'd enjoyed it so far, and feel free to subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more guides like this. Give me some feedback in the comments about what you think about this video, maybe some different methods that you use at home, or how hot you look in that tinfoil hat, because let me tell you, I know it is sexy. Anyhow, let me go ahead and get this guy to 14. Actually, I'm going to do it to 15 because the method is exactly the same. So you're going to continue building 18 stacks, push them to 30 for both the 14 and the 15. Once you get to plus 15, we're going to move to the next step. If you run out of resources doing that, go grind your butt off with your tinfoil hat on the whole while, and then come back and do it again. 18 to 30, 18 to 30, all the way until we have a plus 15. So I'll see you guys in, for you, less than a few seconds, because this is going to be edited right into when we have a plus 15. I'll let you know how we do in the meantime. All right, we did it. So I made 3 30 stacks getting to plus 14. I only made 1 30 stack getting to plus 15. The plus 14 hit on a 21, and the plus 15 hit on a 23. So they were fairly low, and now we got some nice 30 stacks that we will be using later. So remember that 16 stack we built earlier when we were sub 13 and stopping at 16 on some of the earlier stuff? This is where we're going to use it. The good news is the most difficult part to getting into decent gear is now over. That plus 13, plus 14 to 15 hurdle is very, very difficult, and we've now accomplished it. Pry is actually one of the easiest things to get in the game. The percentage on it is like over 50% at like plus 20 or something like that. So it's really high. So in this one, we don't really want to go that high for it. We can use the 16 stacks for it. I don't like starting with 18s on it because you have a pretty good shot at 16. There's actually plenty of people that start at 12 and 14. It's kind of more like what stacks did you get left over while you're enhancing previously to this point, or you can always just reblath up, you know, to a 14 stack or something like that. It's really not super difficult to hit. It's going to hit within this, so don't push it too high. 20 maybe the last that you want to do it. Anything higher than that, there's an argument to be said to go up to 25 for it, just because that gives you prize stack for gold accessories. So that's something to keep in mind as well if that's where you want to go for it. So we did it on a 20, which is a little high for pry, but not a big deal. It got done. You'll notice we used a different item to do that. We mentioned it earlier, the concentrated magical weapon stone. In order to make those, you need your sharps and these bad boys here and your weapon stones. And what you do is just heat up your sharps. For every 1 sharp, it's 2 weapon stones, and it'll make 1 concentrated magical stone. Now, the other thing to keep in mind that gets tricky at this level of enhancing is every click that you do on it's going to drop you 10 durability as opposed to the 4 before that. So it is going to add up, and it is going to be a lot of memory fragments, especially if you're not using artisan memories as well. So again, make sure you've stockpiled, 400 or 500 memory fragments before you begin your session. So now we're at pry. I've mentioned a million times 18 stacks are where we want to be going for duo, and we're going to treat these the same as our plus 13 to the plus 14 was. We're going to start at 18 on duo, and we're going to click it until it's 30. The thing is, it's going to get you only 4 clicks between 18 and 30 because of the amount that it increases now. It's going to go up in increments of 3 every time you fail. You'll get straight to 30, and the good news is hitting duo, you have a better percentage of getting duo between 18 and 30 than you did on your 13 to 14 and 14 to 15, so it's going to be a little bit easier. So let me load up a character with an 18 stack ready for it, and we'll go ahead and click. Okay, so we got the 18 stack ready. So from here, I'm going to kind of move things along and not show every little detail, kind of like we did getting up to the 15, just because from here it's pretty straightforward. What you're going to want to do is get 4 concentrated stones ready on your pry weapon. You're going to click it 4 times. That's going to get you up to a 30 stack. You want to keep yourself in a decent position. One of 2 things happens. You're either going to actually hit your duo before you get to 30, which is great. You can move on to try, or you're going to have a 30 stack and you're going to stop there just like we did previously. The reason for that is 30 stack is where you're going to start try. So if once this thing hits duo, and it may take you, a round or 2 to get there, but once it does hit duo, then you're going to go to your character or load up an advice of Valk of that 30 stack, and you're going to click on that to start your try attempts. Believe me, 30 is not too low. I have definitely hit try on 21 and 26 doing goofy things on stream. You can absolutely do it, and in my opinion, 30 is a great starting point. Some people argue for 34, but personally, you're watching this video, I would say do it at 30. From 30, you're going to click it a total number of 5 times. The problem is every time you click on a try attempt, when it fails, you go back to pry, which means you have to get yourself another 18 stack, which can be easily done by building up reblath gear through the method we've already shown. So it's no big deal, and you just continue that cycle of building up another 30 stack until you get your duo. And then let's say you failed it, you have a 34 stack, run it on your 34 stack. If it fails, it goes to 38. You're going to do it 5 times total until it gets to 50. You're going to stop at 50 because that's going to be where you start your starting point for a tet stack, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to click this 4 times, and then we're just going to move ahead. I do this a lot on stream where I one-click my duo on 18. It's actually a running theme on the stream. Happens all the time. So I'm going to switch over. We'll load up a try stack. I think I have a 34 left over from last stream. We'll just go ahead and start with that and see what happens. If we can get there, we'll run for a tet attempt. Although I think I only have like a 71 stack for it, and I don't really want to use it on this alt character, but I mean, whatever. We'll at least give it a shot, or maybe stop whenever that happens, but at least show you. It's just very straightforward from here. So let me load up the try stack. I'll show you the try attempt. If it fails, we'll go back to pry. You build up another 18. If it succeeds, we'll keep on moving and maybe try a tet attempt. You'll already know how it goes by the end of the video. Okay, so we're up. I was right. I did have a 34 stack on an alt. I'm just going to pull up this word pad I just typed out real fast before we do this to see how far we go. Again, I'm not going to push this alt weapon too far. I don't really care about it, but it'd be cool for the video, at least if we get there, but we'll see what happens. So here's what you're looking at once you've struggled through getting there. Pry, 14 to 24. Again, there's a lot of discretion that can be used with this. You can stop sooner if you really want to, but building an 18 stack on reblath gear is very, very easy. So anything lower than that's not really doesn't really matter. Duo, absolutely 18 to 30. I really don't recommend pushing it to 30 unless you're just caked up in duo stacks and you want to click it just that one more time. I can't say I've never done that. I absolutely have. Same with try, 30 to 50. 50 is a really nice place to start your tet stacks from there. Tet, you 50 and you can push that up to 90. 90 is a decent tet accessory stack, so if you're there, I definitely have pushed 90 on my tet dim tree. I hit on a 90 stack just because I have so many 90 stacks and 95 stacks that I went ahead and did it. But this is again a rule of thumb, not the end all be all to it. And pen, I wouldn't know about because I don't have any, so to infinity and beyond. So yeah, the key to remember throughout all of this is that if you're not wearing your tinfoil hat, none of this is going to work whatsoever. You absolutely have to have that thing on during the entire enhancing segment. So without any further explanation, you guys get the enhancing thing. If you have any questions or comments, please put them in below. I answer as many questions that I can on the channel, and be sure to subscribe, like this video, tell your friends about it if they are asking how do I enhance. I hope that this was helpful as a beginner's guide. Things I didn't address in it that do exist: there's a stabilizer stone that was recently introduced to the game that can give you guaranteed enhancements, but in order to get them that are usable on boss gear, you actually have to get them as world boss drops, so they're pretty difficult to gather up, and this enhancing isn't that difficult once you get it up to plus 15. It's pretty straightforward from there, and really just luck and persistence again and again and again. So anyhow, guys, this is a lot of fun to make. We're gonna click this button one time for it. If it goes for try, we'll go ahead and waste one of my good tet stacks and attempt a tet on this weapon I don't care about, because we're doing it for the love of YouTube, and my tinfoil hat's looking real nice. We didn't hit it. So that's gonna be the end of this video, guys. Again, please subscribe if you haven't already. Like the stuff. Hope I helped you, and that is gonna be it for this video. I will see you next time. Thank you for watching.